So non-duality and the consciousness of things. So what should I start with? The non-dual part or the consciousness of things? I think I had to start with non-duality. So what is non-duality? Lost geeks, lost geeks. Well, non-duality is the most beautiful subject there is. I love non-duality. It's basically the description of oneness, or not two-ness. So all of this is a world of one, not two. Non-duality, not two-ness. They also say that the reason that they call it not two-ness, non-duality, is because to even call it oneness is a step too far, so it's better to call it what it's not. When you get different teachers, you get the negating teachers that are all like nothing, 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 nothing. And then you get teachers that are all like everything, 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 love. And then you get me that goes nothing, everything, nothing, everything. That most probably makes no sense to a newcomer. So I really doubt there's any newcomers to non-duality here. They've switched off, they're like, she's a little woo-woo, woo-woo. So non-duality is the questioning of who is it that's experiencing life. So currently in human society, there is a meme called me and you. And what meme means is an idea which has spread and spreading called me and you. It's an idea. To most of humanity, though, it feels like a reality, and it feels like who they are is a conscious being that's looking out through these bodies. So you ask most people in society who they are, and they would describe their name, the place they come from, their job, what they do, what they like doing, what they don't like, how much money they have, what languages they speak, what they're good at, their family members, their mother or father or daughter, etc. Whereas that's only the story, the narrative that we as humans communicate to each other. It's not actually a truth. It's not actually a reality. When I say truth, like an absolute hard reality, it's something that's appearing, and it's actually something that's subjective. So it's dependent on the subject. So we know this is a plant, for example, because it's not a human, it's not a flora, it's not a dog. So our language works, even though it doesn't seem like it, on the basis of comparison. I know I am human because I'm not a rabbit or a floor or a house. I know I'm me because I'm not you. And me has certain words associated with it. But that's actually a narrative that we're telling ourselves. It's not the actual experience. In the actual experience, there's never actually this you with all these labels looking out of your eyes. Like so right now, in this moment, there isn't a mother looking through your eyes. There isn't a very good swimmer looking out of your eyes. There isn't a good person looking out of your eyes or a bad person looking out of your eyes. That's all a narrative that we tell in time, which is coming and going. If we took the idea of good and bad, we know that there isn't just good humans and bad humans. It's all subjective. It's constantly changing. Like good in comparison to what? I'm a good swimmer in comparison to all other humans alive, or I'm a good swimmer in comparison to my swimming club, or I'm a good swimmer compared to my child. I'm a bad swimmer compared to my older siblings. Like it's changing constantly what's good and what's bad. And so is you, because you're not always a mother. You're not always a daughter. You're not always a sibling. You're not always English, although some people might argue with that. I mean, that is so, this idea of races and nationalism, and that we have to live in these certain countries and we get passports for our certain countries. I understand we have to function like that currently, because if everybody emigrated to the richer countries, it would like overwhelm those richer countries. But it's an insanity in a way. People get very stuck on that. I am French, I am German, I am English, I'm Australian, I'm American, I'm Chinese. And it can be really subtle. Like, I know when I'm in mainland Europe, I fare well in a lot of the countries if I say I'm English. They don't necessarily like the English, but there's a certain respect that comes with English. Like, a lot of countries in Europe actually are like, oh, the English, but there's some sort of respect that comes from it, which is so crazy. Why, just because I'm born in a certain place, would I get more respect than other countries? Like, and it's really subtle. You can see it, like, subtly in your judgments. Like, you, or some of you, I would assume most of you, I think it's pretty deep, these judgments, and pretty subtle. Yeah. So we have this assumption that that person is looking at the body, and even I support it. I say, I'm English. So it sounds like there is an I inside here. There is who and what is that I? Where is this solid I that everyone's convinced they have? There's an appearance of a character. So thoughts arise. You know, like, I don't suddenly have memories of Einstein, although you never know, or Princess Leia, I was going to say, but she never existed, eh? Or Jesus Christ or something. Oh God, none of these are really working, are they? But I don't, like, so there's a particular character that comes with Lisa. Like, Lisa, what we call Lisa, has particular memories that fit to this body and particular images and ideas. And most people believe that that Lisa is the experiencer, that Lisa is registering experience and having an experience and walking through a separate world and having a separate life. So the body does seemingly register experience, although our memories are dodgy, but it does seem to have some sort of linear experience of Lisa's life. So there is this apparent linear, but it's the body that's registering it. So the mind, the memory, so this body has a memory which is holding up these images and playing these images when they're needed. But that's not actually an experiencer. That is an experience. That is an experience. It's not actually somebody looking out of these eyes. But most people in society believe that that person is watching through these eyes. And the reason that they believe that is because consciousness and the person become intertwined. ooh, ah, and this sense of I am. So in your life, you've always had this sense of looking, this sense of experiencing. In every experience, there's always been watching. So what I mean by watching is consciousness. There's always been a perception of things, like you've never not been conscious. Some people think that in deep sleep or in sleep that they're not conscious, but actually there's just not the appearance of anything, so there's nothing happening. So it's just time absent. But whenever, like everything that you know, whatever you remember, there's always been consciousness. You can't remember not being conscious. Like, what would that even look like? Not being conscious. Well, when I was not conscious, there was just a blank room which I was sitting in. But there's still consciousness or perception of something, so that is still consciousness. Other people sometimes confuse it with self-consciousness, like not being self-aware. Like I'm not self-aware of myself. But that's not what's being talked about, it's perception. There's always perceiving happening. And that perception isn't a personal thing. It doesn't belong to the person, but what seemingly got muddled is that the person, the description of you, and that looking have become entwined. So what everybody believes is the person is conscious. But if you actually go into the experience really deeply, you realize that there is no person there. There is simply looking happening. So in this moment, there is only looking happening. Yeah, baby. Ja, baby. Das ist schön. What people often muddle up is personal awareness and this big consciousness. So we also have this personal awareness, which you can move your lens. So you can move your attention into your big toe. So you do that now. Then you can move the attention into the heart, and then into the nose, and then into thinking. And you can also move the attention into attention. So you can move your personal consciousness into consciousness. But there's still something watching that. So that is a personal activity that's being witnessed. But when you do that, when you move attention into tension, you can't think about yourself. And there can sort of be a sense that in this moment, the person doesn't exist. So here, right now, the person is not existing. But yet, that consciousness and that sense of I am are existing. Isn't that fantastic? Fantastic. Fantastic. Yeah? So what always is the consciousness and the sense of being. So what is the sense of being? The sense of being is that sense of love, that sense of I am. This is I am. Yeah, baby, I am. This sense of being and this empty looking. And these two aren't really separate from each other, but they're always there in every experience. You comes and goes. There's an appearance of you. You could say in some ways, like right here, right now, there is never a you, but there's an appearance of you. Like the you, the illusory you, is never going to disappear. There's always going to be an appearance of the illusory you. What happens is there is a separating from that. Like that consciousness and the you feel interlocked, whereas that's not true. So they separate and the consciousness goes back into itself, which it already is, but it seemingly feels locked inside itself. It's what's called love. It's beautiful. Yeah. It is beautiful. Es ist schön. I hope that's beautiful. Schön. I think so. Yeah. So this consciousness, what you truly are, so what's alive now, like the person isn't alive, that's your mistake. The person is like a film playing, but there's something that's watching it. Who is that? What is that? This sense of beingness. The beingness is the love. And that which is watching this isn't actually behind. That's how often a lot of teachers describe it. And it isn't actually a thing. So consciousness sounds like a thing. You could say in some way there is no consciousness. There is only everything, which is no thing. Because the consciousness, like where is this consciousness? So there is perception happening, but where is the center of perception? A lot of people think it's in here because it's identified with the person. So the center of my perception is inside my head, behind my eyes, where I'm thinking. But actually, where is it? Because where does your consciousness stop and I begin? Oh, such love. So where does your consciousness stop and the I, me, Lisa begin? So some people might say, well, my consciousness stops here. But how? So that means you only see, you only experience up to here. Like I am inside your consciousness, you could say. Or if you get even more intimate, it's I am your consciousness. I'm not outside your consciousness. If I was outside of your consciousness, I wouldn't exist. Because consciousness is consciousness. What is being perceived. So therefore, I cannot be outside of consciousness. So in your experience, your consciousness is all things that appear. Everything is consciousness. This beautiful plant. I think it should be called Herbie. Such a funny plant. It like curls up sometimes. If it doesn't like something, it curls up. And also sometimes it curls up at night. Herbie the plant. So everything you see is consciousness. So as you begin to see that you're not the person, you're not this separate person, and you are that which is experiencing, and that which is experiencing is all experiences, that is where non-duality lies, and that is where the consciousness of things exist. And that is total love and freedom. Yeah, baby, yeah. Yeah, baby, yeah. And that is non-duality. That is non-duality. And consciousness, who you truly are, is free of everything. It does not suffer. It's the person that suffers. And predominantly the person suffers when it seeks for consciousness in form. So when consciousness is identified with the person then seeks for that in form. And it can never find it. Because when you're in contact with who you are, it's deep rest. There is deep rest. But when there is a losing of that, then there's always this scurrying to try to find it. But this isn't known on the personal level. So the person is always in this state of trying to find, which it deep down feels like it's lost. It's trying to find rest. So most people believe rest is in the next thing, or in alcohol, or in having kids, or in having money, whatever they believe it is. So waking up is deep rest, like deeply resting in what you are. And then that will filter into the person. So it will begin to change the person. Like, because when there is that movement, there is like this end of seeking on the human level. There's still seeking patterns that can arise in the personality because it's habit, but there's this deep rest in what you are. And it's not going to make your life perfect on the human level. That's karma. And with this recognition, there is a shift in karma. And I feel like your karma expands and expands and improves and changes and lets go and releases.